This is a very important subject tonight, food safety, and we're very, very excited to have our guest. Left here is Val Dolcini. He's a California Executive Director of the U.S. Department of Agriculture Farm Service Agency. Val is responsible for all USDA farm programs and policies in the nation's leading agricultural state, California. He oversees 30 county offices whose primary mission is to deliver USDA programs such as farm loans, commodity price support, disaster relief, conservation support, and other valuable resources to California's farmers and ranchers. Mr. Dolcini was appointed by two presidents, President Clinton in 1999 and President Obama in 2009. So with that, I want to turn it over to Val, and just whatever's on your mind, whatever moves you, please share it with folks, and then we'll have some time for questions afterwards. Thank you.
Alan, thank you very much, and thanks to the Grizzlies for the opportunity to be with you here tonight. You know, he's really very eloquently, I think, stated the issue that confronts all of us as consumers of food and those who grow our food supply, and it is critical that the United States remain food secure, that we not rely on third world countries, frankly, for our food. In the great farms in the San Joaquin Valley and in other parts of the United States where we grow an enormous abundance of food, we truly do feed the world. We also clothe the world. So United States agriculture is absolutely critical, and here in Fresno County, where agriculture is a $7 billion a year industry, that's a part of the state's $40 billion agricultural economy. It's an essential part of what drives Fresno's economy. As Alan mentioned, I oversee 30 USDA service centers from Alturas on the far north on the Oregon border to El Centro on the Mexican border. And I think with the possible exception of the guys out here on the field, I think I've got the best job in California. I get to drive around a beautiful state, I get to meet hardworking farmers and ranchers, I get to meet a lot of dedicated public employees in my USDA service centers. And the conversations that I'm able to have with those folks, with urban dwellers, with rural residents, with food entrepreneurs, with chefs, with bloggers, with others who are interested in making a living growing the food that we consume really gets me up every morning and really puts a charge into me. I started today at about 6 a.m. in Yolo County. I was brainstorming with a land trust up there about farmland preservation issues and what we can do to prevent the further erosion of our farmland. I drove down to Modesto to talk to a sheep dairy that we made a loan to. They're expanding their operation down there at a place called Utopia Dairies. I then went down to my Merced office where I met with an alfalfa grower. He also grows some organic corn, and then we zipped over to Mariposa, where we just made a micro loan to a husband and wife farming operation out there that grow organic grapes. They've also got livestock. They've also they're raising horses, and they've got an expanding chicken operation. So if I smell a little bit like a chicken house or a sheep dairy, you'll know that I've earned my salary today. These service centers, along with other USDA agencies, serve as important hubs of activity in rural California and provide a wide variety of services that I think most average Californians don't really know about. Not only the farm programs and the loan programs that my agency administers, but conservation assistance to farmers and ranchers, assistance for the development of rural communities up and down the state, critical ag research that Bonnie's involved with and that other entities of our higher education system work with. So, you know, the over-the-counter relationship that folks enjoy in my service centers and the ones that I administer, you know, they've enjoyed for the last 70 years. Since the New Deal, a farmer can walk into a USDA service center and have that personal relationship that he or she really grows to rely on. And I think that that's one of the best deals that the American taxpayer can get today, is the personalized service you get in each and every USDA service center in the state. You know, a word on these offices. Like many USDA offices, and frankly like the federal workforce in general, our workforce is graying. It's getting close to the point where we're going to see a really big retirement wave coming across. And so one of the most important things that I can do as state director is really try and develop a new, modern, diverse, young workforce. And so we work closely with places like Fresno State, other ag colleges up and down the state, try and develop student internship programs and other career opportunities for young workers so that they look to a federal career as a possible place to really spend some time. We make similar investments in technology. So the paper-intensive offices of the past are really going away, and we're really trying to focus more on making us a more up-to-date, business-like part of your U.S. government. You know, we're still leading the nation, as Alan mentioned. For 50 years now, California has been the most productive agricultural state in the country. And out of the top 10 most productive counties, 9 are located here in California. Obviously, Fresno is number 1, Tulare a close second. Several other San Joaquin Valley counties round out the top 9. We've got over 80,000 farms and ranches here, and we produce over 400 different commodities, 350 commodities grown right here in Fresno County. Lots of things are only grown in California, like peaches, clingstone peaches, sweet rice, artichokes, olives, walnuts, almonds, the list goes on. So chances are, if it's for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, it was grown right here in California. Now, where does that leave us today, and where does it leave us in terms of the food safety issues that we're talking about tonight? In 1940, the American farmer fed 19 people. Today, thanks to the productivity of our agricultural economy, that farmer now feeds 155 people. And it's a good thing, too, because in the next 40 years or so, we'll see another 2 billion mouths to feed on this earth. And American farmers and ranchers will have to produce more food in the next 40 years than in the last 10,000 years combined. Now, chew on that statistic. It's an enormous amount of work that we've got here in California and around the nation for our farmers to contend with. In California, we export about 1/3 of what we produce, so the other 2/3 goes for domestic production. And given the fact that we've got the most arable land and sophisticated agricultural production techniques, we stand really to gain from the opportunities that those export markets present to us. Every $1 billion in ag exports supports over 8,000 jobs and generates a little over $1.5 billion in additional economic activity. And California's farmers and ranchers, really stand to gain there. I think that the technological advances of our farms and ranches, and I see it all over the state, and you guys see it, certainly right here at home in Fresno County, rival those that exist in the Silicon Valley. I mean, farmers are really probably as innovative as, high-tech entrepreneurs in Palo Alto or Cupertino. Yet the disconnect between rural residents and those that consume our food has probably never been greater. And, it used to be that in California, people pointed to the north and south divide, rather, the divide between Northern California and the Great Los Angeles Basin. I really think the divide is more between rural residents and those that live along the coast. So it's an east economic recovery, which, by the way, has been led by agriculture in many respects, unless we acknowledge some of the challenges that Alan mentioned in his opening. Certainly, the holy trinity for most farmers is access to land, access to water, and access to capital, and you could probably add access to labor on top of that. Those 4 things really will create essential challenges for us as policymakers, from my perspective, for you as consumers and producers of our food, and for the citizenry at large. But, I'm really bullish on the future of California agriculture. Colleges like Fresno State, Cal Poly, UC Davis, Chico State, and many others around the nation are producing about 30,000 students every year who graduate with an ag degree. And between 2010 and 2015, almost 55,000 jobs have been created annually or will be in agribusiness or related fields. So agriculture is really responsible for our continuing economic vitality, not just here in Fresno, but around the nation. It's responsible for 1 out of every 12 jobs in the nation, and while only 1 out of 6 Americans call rural America home, fully 45% of those that wear our military uniforms come from rural America. Think about that. 45% of the men and women in our armed forces come from the communities in rural California and elsewhere around the nation. So by providing food and fiber, a clean water supply, and national security for our great nation, rural America really serves as the backbone of our country. And in many ways, the welfare of rural America, its infrastructure, its health and education, will continue to be vitally important to the success of all of us.